Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, here we are in the Music Connection, and I cannot think of a better way to
have a early Sunday
afternoon with a new connection, thanks to our friend Joe Hodgins. And this is a career pianist who has been teaching. Told us she's entering in her 54th year of teaching. And so we're very excited.
She only looks like she's 40.
It's the magic of music.
That's right. It must be her Kansas upbringing.
That's right. And so we are so excited to introduce you to our new friend, Dr. Victoria Wyatt.
Hi, Vicki.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
So you're across the river from us. You know, we Marylanders, we make a big deal, right, about the Potomac River dividing us.
Exactly.
So we'll take a boat and visit you when we can get out of this pandemic.
You may have to take a boat the way it's raining.
Well, yeah, it's been something else.
That's right.
Oh,
well, we're excited to get to know you and to hear all the beautiful music that you can make. But what is your earliest memory of music, knowing that it was going to become something that was inextricable from who you are?
You know, I thought about that question. It's tricky for me to answer because it's a little different for me, I think, probably than maybe some other career people. I kind of fell into it. I started piano when I was 4. The reason being that my older sister took piano lessons and she wasn't very good at it. And I adored her. I wanted to hang out with her all the time. So I would sit in the floor while she practiced and call out, "That was wrong." Or "Let me try that." And we soon found I could play her pieces. So we put together, she put together this little plan. Our mom would be around the corner in the kitchen cooking and not understand what we had put together. And my sister would put me on the piano bench. She would go outside and play for the 30-minute practice period, and I would play her lesson.
Oh my goodness.
So that worked fine until our grandfather was visiting and he ratted us out.
Oh, you were busted.
So I got the piano lessons. My sister was taken out of the lessons and I got her spot in my teacher's studio.
Oh my goodness. Well, Vicki, your career just fascinates me, both as a performer. You've performed in some great halls around the country. As a teacher and a mentor, I believe you taught at Eastman School of Music and
the summer program.
Yes, and you've mentored many a great performer, musicians who've gone on around to play around the world, and you're still teaching at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's like teaching online these days for a piano teacher?
It was a big learning curve for me. My students, of course, did wonderfully because they're used to all of these devices. But, you know, it worked out. It is working out much more beautifully than I ever dreamed. I set out just to keep them afloat, and I didn't have any strong expectations, but I'm so proud of them. They have just adjusted admirably, and in many cases they're sailing forward. They're doing all kinds of repertoire. They're excited. They're great because they're saying, "Wait a minute, I need to write that down." Or I need to circle that. And it's like, good, go right ahead.
Wow.
Good job.
Yep, fantastic. Yeah. Well, we would love to hear some of the magic of your playing. So what do you have in store for us to start out?
I have a piece that's been one of my favorites forever. It's by Rachmaninoff. It's the G sharp minor prelude. And I have to give you a little background about it.
Please.
Also, bringing in the topic of my students, I tell them all the time, the best thing you can do when you perform for anybody, somebody in your home, your friend, doesn't matter, is to play from your heart. Music is to communicate, it's to evoke. So if you play some wrong notes or you get lost someplace when you're playing from memory, push on, use your mind and your heart. So, you know, we've been having this incredible heat wave for so long. And one day, just to amuse myself, I was thinking, what can I play that feels cold, that evokes ice? And I thought, I know. So this piece has always made me think of this gorgeous, gorgeous scene in the movie Dr. Zhivago.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Zhivago and Laura are going over this icy landscape toward the Ural Mountains. They're escaping because, of course, he's an enemy of the state. And everywhere you look is ice and cold. And they're in a horse-drawn sleigh, and they've got the fur hats, and they're swathed in furs. And you hear the tinkling of the horses' bells. And everywhere you look, it's glittering ice. And this piece never fails to remind me of that. So I've been playing it with great joy, you know, when it was hot.
Wonderful.
So I will play that for you.
Wonderful.
Hopefully you will escape into your imagination,
Beautiful.
wherever that takes you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Victoria Wyatt, everybody. Oh my! I definitely just got the chill in a most beautiful way, the fresh, brisk way. Oh my goodness!
And there's nothing
Transporting.
more evocative than a minor key. I love minor key.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And
It's
I love this. All that glittering ice.
Oh yes, and remember how I think it was Julie Christie had sort of the ice crystals kind of on her eyelashes, and
Yes.
yes,
And when you see the DACA, is that how you pronounce
Mhm.
it? It's all covered in ice. And
uh,
they get there and they go, "Ugh," and I'm just reveling in that.
Now, you grew up in a part of Kansas in the western part of the state. You were describing it sort of on the closer to the Oklahoma border. Now, did you get cold? You must have gotten some pretty cold winters
Oh,
and ice and snow.
freezing cold.
Mhm.
We had 2 seasons. You roasted and then you froze.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so
Oh.
cold. And I love to tease my kids, my students, that the only time they closed school for us when it snowed was because we had a blizzard and it covered up the school.
Oh my
gosh.
goodness. Well, so you could tell those stories about when I was a kid, we used to we went to school and we charged through it, and yep, that's right. Well, I wanted to ask you, I know that you think of your studio and your family of students as you really emphasize the idea of community.
Yes.
And I wonder if you would speak a little bit about your philosophy around that.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. Playing the piano, unlike other instruments, it's solitary. So no matter how much you love it, you're by yourself. Maybe you've got a parent egging you on or something, but you're not with your friends. So I wanted right from the start to build in that it's communication, that it's fun, that it can and will involve other people, but that partially depends upon building your skill.
Mhm.
So we do duets right from the start. I started the little brother of one of my students this summer. Not sure how that would go virtually, but you know what? His sister has had 4 years of piano and they're already playing duets.
Oh my goodness.
She's learning the harder part for him. And the kids love doing this. We also improvise together. I sit at one piano, they sit at another. We start this early too, so that there's no wrong answer.
Mhm.
Now your
Mhm.
turn, you play, or I'll give you an introduction, you pop in, and I'll have them tell me, shall we use only black keys? Shall we use only white keys? Let them make some choices. So there's a tiny bit of structure to hang on to.
Mhm.
We do duets in a big way. We even do quartets.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
4 people at 2 pianos.
That's
So yes, and we do group classes. So people grow up with partners, in the studio. And you know what? When I talk to former students, 9 times out of 10, kids that are now adults that have their own children, they will say, "I remember playing duets. I remember my partner so and so."
oh
That's wonderful. Now that makes me think a little bit about it's a little bit tricky when somebody has a natural ear for music and they can play by ear, and then having to marry the two must, in my case, it is not easy. It is actually it atrophy one or the other.
Yes, it's hard. It's a challenge for the teacher, and we have to be on our toes. I test the ear right away, and I learned by messing up in my early years of teaching because I didn't understand that the better the ear was, why bother to read. And I would find out late in the game, uh-oh, you're not actually reading those notes. So I'm very careful about that, and they're not always happy that I've, expose them but I always point out what a great thing it is that your ear works well, and let's make your eyes work well too.
Oh, wonderful. Well, would you grace us with another piece? Would you do that? Okay. I know we kind of put you on the spot here.
You know what? I just thought of this morning, what if they ask me, I'm going to do something, I'm going to go way out on a limb here.
All right.
This actually fits what we're talking about. When I was young, I played by ear, and I played all the time by ear, and I loved it. And I made up things, and I always had, I would figure out the songs from the movies and the shows and all of that. And my second year of college, my college teacher got wind of that and just read me the riot act. He just yelled and screamed. So I stopped, I'm sorry to say. And I just basically don't do it in front of anybody. You know what?
All right. Yes.
I'll tell
Bonus.
you why I'm going to do this. This is not all that great of an arrangement that I remembered it from when I was a kid. It's a song from, I think it's from Carousel. You'll Never
Lovely.
Walk Alone.
Oh, nice.
And I play it when my spirits are down. So I'm just gonna play it like I play it.
Wonderful.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yay. Brava. That Richard Rogers knows how to write a
I'll
tune,
say.
and you know how to play a tune.
Thank you.
That's so wonderful.
Thank
I love the idea that this is a childhood memory that still it's alive in not just in your heart but in your muscle memory.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true.
And so when did you make the choice to pursue education, teaching others how to love the instrument and how to explore? When did you make that connection 50 years ago that this was a way to go?
Along with your own performing.
I think that is a decision I made very soon. I remember playing school all the time when I was young, and I would put my bears. I didn't like dolls, so they didn't get to go to school. But my animals, I would line them up and teach them, and I would deliver long, rambling lectures on every subject, and I'm still doing that, and play the piano for them. So I always wanted to be a teacher. I flirted with the idea in high school of being an English teacher, but I grew out of that because I didn't want to deal with dangling participles and conjugate verbs and I didn't want to grade papers every night either. So I kind of fell into music because it was something I did well. It's something it was inside me, and why shouldn't I teach it? But also my family of origin was pretty wacko, and my home life was quite difficult. So music was what felt normal. It felt stable. And I could absolutely lose myself for hours playing, making up things, playing by ear, occasionally practicing my lesson. And, you know, that felt right to me. So when I went to college, I sort of fell into that too. But once I was in college, I remember telling my first teacher, because he was used to hearing how people were going to become famous. They're going to go to Carnegie Hall and they're going to do all this. So he sighed deeply one day and said, "Now, what do you plan to do with your music?" And I said, well, in my perky little 18-year-old self, I said, I'm going to perform and teach. And he said, what? And I said, I'm going to perform and teach. And he said, well, if you could do only one of those, which would it be? And I said, oh, no, I'll have to do both. And he said, well, but you didn't answer my question. And I remember saying, because he reminded me of this years later, I said, I won't be a good teacher if I don't play, and I won't play well if I can't teach well.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my goodness. Wow.
Out of the mouth. That was the only brilliant thing I said.
That was a masterclass moment there, Vicki.
My only teenage moment of yeah. But I really wanted both, and I have been so fortunate I have had both and continue to have both, you know.
Absolutely.
So what do you think as we as a country and as a world, grapple with all of the issues of the day, and we know they're just vast issues that we're taking on and trying to find new ways to cope and grow and new journeys to take. Do you have any based on your latest mullings, any comments you'd like to make about the role of music in this?
Oh, it's so incredibly important. It's so incredibly important. And I think all of us that are involved in music, whether you're teaching it, performing it, or just huge lovers of music and supporters of the arts, we need to train not only children, but I have found, much to my dismay, their families, their parents, to go to live performances.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that makes up for that. And I'll tell them it doesn't matter what kind of equipment you have. And you might go and hear some world-class artist making some mistakes. And you know what? That makes that all the more valuable, because you see how they handle it, and it goes by, it's so fleeting. You even have to say, was that an error? And the excitement, and what gets through to them is when I tell them, imagine what it's like when you're at a football game or you're just watching it on TV. You hear the crowd, you have the smells, you have all of that. So I think we need to educate, because I have been shocked to discover, and I have extremely serious students and very serious supportive families behind them. Many of them have never been to a live professional piano concert. I insist that they come if I play. I don't even mince words. I go,
This is a requirement.
I'm your teacher. You're in the audience. Yeah.
Well, what I think you were saying is that we all expect to be back in live venues. I mean, we will get through this at some point, and in the meantime, people have to take heart and look forward to that. And we so look forward to getting an opportunity to hear you live and to and have a glass of wine with you, or a beer, and just.
And we don't have to drive across the state line to do that, right?
No, we don't need our passport yet to go to Virginia.
Just Maryland to Virginia. Yeah.
That's right.
That's right. Well, Vicki, what an absolute pleasure for us.
And an inspiration, because the first thing I'm going to do is go upstairs and sit on the piano and start.
Good.
tinkling on the keyboard.
In fact, I have to tell a quick funny story. You know, Jose Luis will rarely play if anybody's around. So one day he didn't realize I was here, and this was before the lockdown. And I came in, and he's just playing away just beautifully. And as soon as I came upstairs, he stopped, and he was just like and I said, I should have just stayed downstairs. I thought maybe it was a recording. I really did. So, but anyway, thank you very much for your gifts and for sharing them with the world.
And I think all of your students are so very lucky to have crossed paths with you, because I know if I am inspired in 20 minutes, I can only imagine how they are after having lessons and lessons.
We would practice with this teacher. I mean, we would practice before we got with this teacher.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
I had a piano teacher once who said to me, your parents, they don't want to pay for you to practice here.
So you need to come
prepared. That was the end of my lesson. But anyway,
right.
That's a whole other story. Victoria Wyatt, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
It was so lovely. And everyone at home, stay tuned for the next edition. And we'll see you soon.